So we got a brand new ferro rod here, and I wanted to show you guys the way I'm setting this thing up here. So first off, we got a hole in our ferro rod here, and you could buy these with or without the hole. I definitely recommend getting it with it. So we want to put some paracord around it. So one thought is to have some paracord that's real bright, so that way if you drop your ferro rod in the leaves or in the woods or whatever, you could find it a little easier. But it's kind of a personal choice. I also have one with a dark green paracord on there because I carry it on the outside of my backpack, and I really don't want it to be spotted real easy when you look across the woods. So we're going to use a piece of paracord on here, and the next thing we want to take a look at is wrapping it up with some tape. So the tape is going to serve a couple purposes here. So we're going to use this tape and we're going to wrap up the back of it, and essentially we're going to make a little handle out of it. So that tape, we're going to stack it up on top of each other until it gets about a 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more. And that tape is, like I said, it's going to serve a few different purposes. So one, you got the handle aspect, just being able to hold on to it while you're striking your rod. But then also you got this tape as kind of a multifunctional aspect. So you could take it off and make repairs to like your tarp or your clothing or something. And you could also take it off and actually burn it and use it as a extended flame source. Now it doesn't start off real easy as far as trying to ignite it, but once it gets going, it lasts for a long time. And as far as your tape goes, you got a few different things going on there as well. So you could use like electrical tape, but keep in mind electrical tape, it doesn't have like the fibers inside of it as like the duct tape does or this Gorilla tape here. So those fibers are going to help burn and make it a lot stronger. Plus this Gorilla tape is super sticky. So a lot of times like electrical tape, it is sticky, but it sticks to itself really well. It really doesn't stick to other objects. And your third option there would be like using some 100-mile-an-hour tape. And that stuff is really good, but it's kind of a hybrid in between the two. It's kind of a in between the electrical tape and this Gorilla tape here. But myself, I like the Gorilla tape. You could buy it on Amazon. I'll leave a link for it. And it's easy to come by and it works really well. So lastly, we're going to need something to actually strike our ferro rod with. So kind of a cool idea I had, but I have an old Dewalt reciprocating saw blade here. So I got a saw blade that's about the same length as my ferro rod. And so I was thinking, these ain't sharp enough where you can't really handle it, like you're going to cut yourself. But at the same time, it gives you something to really grab onto. And again, that multi-purpose functionality there. So you could use this to go ahead and cut a tree limb or make notches or something like that. So let's go ahead and cut our paracord and kind of get this thing going here. So your paracord, you can make it as long as you want. But my thought process behind it was, you don't want it so short that you're struggling trying to get your striker in the right position. So I'm thinking about 24 inches, including your knots, would work probably pretty good there. So this is 6 inches. So we got 6, 12, 18, 24-ish. I think that's good enough. We'll go ahead and just cut this and we'll burn the ends of it. So we got our 24 inches of paracord here, approximately. So we'll put that through our ferro rod. And we'll go ahead and put that through our striker, which just so happens to be this Dewalt blade here. So now we need to tie this somehow. So you could tie this whatever you guys want, but we're going to use a fisherman's knot. And I think here in the future coming up, I'm going to have a series of videos. I'm going to make a separate playlist. And that way you guys could kind of reference it as just how to tie specific knots. So I'll have the fisherman's knot, the bowline, you know, whatever you guys need. But we'll go ahead and put those knots in a separate playlist. But come on in here, I'll show you how to tie a quick fisherman's knot. So all we're doing here is we're going to overlap these two pieces of paracord. And essentially you're going to tie an overhand knot on each side. And the overhand knots are going to face the opposite direction. So there's one overhand knot. We'll tie another one over here. And then we pull these two outside ends together, and those two will mate up real nice on each other. We can go ahead and dress it up a little bit there. And that's your fisherman's knot. So that 24 inches there, that feels pretty close as far as our length. You could probably even make it a few more inches longer if you didn't mind carrying the extra length of rope there. So now that we got our paracord on, we kind of have an idea, a better idea, where our Gorilla Tape is going to fit here. So we'll put this Gorilla Tape on, and this isn't nothing too difficult here. You guys could do this for sure. But we're going to start that Gorilla Tape on and try to start it nice and straight. And we're just going to keep wrapping this up until we get the thickness we want. So we'll probably fast forward a little bit here. So we got our Gorilla Tape about the thickness that we're looking for. So we'll go ahead and just cut it off here. And real quick here, so we're going to take a walk into my little workshop here. But on our striker here, you know, it's got paint buildup on there. It's got rust. The edges of this blade's a little bit rounded off. So we're going to put this thing in a vise, and we're going to take a fine tooth file to it, and we're going to strike the whole top of this thing nice and flat and get that paint off there, and it'll give it real sharp 90-degree edges. So on those real sharp 90-degree edges, that's going to give you the best striking capabilities there. But before we do that, I want to take some of this duct tape here, and I'm not going to take a whole lot, but I'm going to roll it up into a little ball for you guys and just light it with this lighter here so you can kind of see what I was talking about as far as the extended burn here. Now this stuff, it ain't got to be real tight or pretty or nothing. Now this isn't going to start real easy with your ferro rod, but now if you had a little pile of tinder here that you started up, you could add this electrical tape or this duct tape. And once you get this stuff burning, it's going to extend your flame, give you a little bit more time to gather up your materials. So we're in my workshop here. So we're just going to put this blade in my vise, tighten it up a little bit, and use a file. Now if you don't have a file, you could use a, you know, whatever you got, a cut-off wheel, sandpaper, whatever you got. But I got a Nicholas file here, and so we're just going to take a little material off the top, clean that rust off, clean the paint off, make a nice sharp 90 degrees here. Test it out a little bit. All the paint and the rust is off. It's not quite as sharp as I want yet. That should do it right there. Only thing left now is to go test it out. All right, so we want to test this thing out here. So I got one of these fire starter hockey pucks that we made. So we just want to break this up and expose some of these fibers inside here. And then on our ferro rod here, so this is a new ferro rod. I kind of played with it just a little bit. But you got this black coating on here. So one, you're going to want to scrape off some of this black coating. And keep in mind, if you don't use your ferro rod very often, as this sits here, you'll get a little bit of oxidization on the outside of your metal here. So a lot of times you want to come through and just clean that off. And try to do nice, long, even strokes. Otherwise, you end up with that gravel, bumpy road on here. So if you do long strokes with it, nice and even, and just get it going, get it cleaned off. So that looks real good there. We got it cleaned off. And we'll go ahead and strike this pad. All right, so you can see this new ferro rod. It's working out really well. our setup configuration here, I think is gonna work out good for us. So we're gonna sit here for a few minutes, let this thing burn out, and we'll catch you guys next time.